Hello, good evening. My team's presentation today is entitled Embracing Visual Literacy, the Adoption of the Basic Model in Dissecting Images. I'm Tusha Rani and my co-team members are Yaqub Ismail and Tusha Devi. In preparing students for the challenges of the 21st century, educators must engage students using both right brain and left brain processes. So in coming up with this innovation, we actually looked into what is the current gap specifically with visual literacy. So the problem statement 1 is that students have limited access in dissecting images. The second problem statement is that teachers concentrate too much on verbal texts. And the last problem statement is that materials that support visual dissection are in abundance, yet they are hardly used. Visual images are all around us, and it's a pity that many times teachers hardly use these resources effectively. So in connecting it with the skills of language teaching, we actually looked into writing poems where there are also challenges. The first challenge is difficulty in writing. Many students shun writing poems for they believe it is a difficult task. The second challenge is that they find it difficult to decipher even with given prompts, for there is a clear lack of understanding the images implicitly and explicitly. And finally, the third challenge is of language inhibitions, where students are demotivated with poor language proficiency. So in short, there is a need to scaffold the students' ability by assisting them to write poems. So in short, the basic model was introduced to increase students' focus and ability in writing poems through the dissection or unpacking of images. So what was the solution? What was the innovation? So we came up with the basic model where the letter BA stands for background, S is for short, the other S is for salience, I in, and finally the letter C stands for creation. So in looking at the model, it actually supports the development and the use of both sides of the brain, where if you look at the left side brain function, it's for analytical thought, logic, language, science and maths, and for the right brain function, which is more creative, it's for holistic thought, intuition, creativity, art and music. So here, what was specific to our model is that of the use of language cognitively and of creativity. Our model is actually grounded in semiotics, specifically the theory of visual grammar popularized by Gunter Kress and Theo van Leeuwen. So what is the basic model? The background here stands for the setting of an image. The image can be detailed, minimal, or empty. The shots, which are usually popular in photography, can be long, medium, or close shots, for example. And the salience here are the elements which are made to attract the reader's attention. When you look at a particular visual, what is that which attracts you? Is it the size, contrast, sharpness, foreground, and background position? And finally, we look into how all these elements are used in creating a product, how these elements cohere, and in this context, for the students to write poems. So the implementation here was a very simple process, actually. We looked into 5 Form 4 students from a suburban school in Selangor. We actually wanted to try out the model first, and after discovering how successful it was, we are now in the midst of implementing it with different categories of students. Initially, the piloting was done with kindergarten students. The duration for this study was about 75 minutes, specifically during the class lesson. And the language proficiency of the students ranged from average to good. They were assessed prior to the actual activity where they were given written tasks. So these are the different stages involved in this innovation process. The first stage is that where the students were shown the visual. They were shown the image. And the second stage was that they were asked to write a poem. So we did not give any input. And during the third stage, the basic model was explained with an analysis of the visual. So I actually explained to them how the visual should be analyzed with the model. And this was followed up with the fourth stage where students were asked to write another poem. And finally, after completing, they were also asked to present their poems orally. And before they left, at the end of the session, they were asked to fill up exit tickets. I find exit tickets very useful because the students are actually familiar with them as it's part of the 21st century classroom teaching skills. And many teachers are already practicing that in our schools. So this is the image. It is entitled Frida Kahlo's Self-Portrait with Torn Necklace and Hummingbird. And this is painted by Frida Kahlo, the Mexican painter. So if you look at this, the background here is that of a minimal background where what is evident is are the skies and leaves. The shot is of a medium shot. You can actually see the whole thing clearly. It's not of a long distance, neither it is a close shot. And the salience here is Frida Kahlo's quarter image. The other elements of the visual is clearly on the background because Frida's image is more prevalent as compared to the rest. These are the samples taken before the basic model was introduced. We actually had 5 pieces of writings. I'm showing 2 on the screen. And I'm going to read this particular poem here, Attractive Angel, quite well written. The face is attractive like a queen. The parts of face is most attractive like a princess. The look of torn necklace like a sharp as a knife. The bun of hair like fat as body. Of course, there are a few grammatical errors there, but it is quite a good poem. And then these are the samples taken after the basic model was introduced. Look at how colorful the poems are. They actually took the liberty to add colors to their poems, and they came up with longer poems as compared the first time around. I'm going to read this particular poem written by one of the girls. What they do. I want to be free. I want freedom. I have troubled relationship, but I can't tell. Everyone doesn't know what I feel. I can't go out. I'm feeling as cold as ice. So much pain in my heart, for I am shackled in my life. The sounds of the forest can be dangerous, but I'm alive. I will not give up. This poem is so profound, and when I first read it, I was like, wow. Look at the phrases that she used. Troubled relationship, as cold as ice, shackled in my life. These phrases show that this particular student has high order thinking skills, that with proper guidance, she was able to write very well. She was able to dissect the image effectively to come up with a very good poem. So here is the impact analysis of the student's poem writing assessment. The bars in blue depict the performance before the basic was implemented, and the ones in amber are after the basic model was introduced. And as you can see, there is definitely a significant increment among these students where their poem writing assessment is concerned. If Aiden, initially he had 5, after the model was introduced, he scored a 6.5. If you look at John, he had 6 initially, and then he went up to a significant 8.5. And Hyman, as you can see, is rather a proficient student. So even without the model, he had 7, and he scored a wonderful and amazing 9.5 after the model was introduced. So imagine what our students could do if they were taught how to dissect images well for different kinds of activities. So these are some of the follow-up activities that can be used in the classroom. For example, role plays, mimes, sketches, and even jazz chants. After writing those poems, coming up with a jazz chant would be pretty easy for these students. So what is the significance of the BASSiC model? First, it can be utilized for different mediums. We are looking at billboards, book covers, movie posters. These are some of the different mediums which could be effectively dissected with the model. Number 2, students have more confidence in presenting their products and views. What was interesting was the level of confidence that was inculcated in the students after they were exposed to the model, because there was a sense of high motivation for them to present their work. They did not bother that language is a problem with 1 or 2 of them, but they happily presented their work because they were very proud of it. Third, clearly can be patented as it promotes multi-literacies, specifically visual literacies. In a world of visuals where the I factor is so important, this model definitely could be patented for future use. And finally, the model can be adopted for all languages. And that is the beauty of the model, because for all languages, be it Tamil or Chinese or Iban or Malay language or even international languages, the model can be effectively adopted and adapted to suit the need of the students. And with that, thank you.